She licked the human's face, but what that meant in her culture changed everything. The outer ring of Kestrel Array glowed like a spinning crown above the silent gas giant below. Its long corridors shimmered with blue light and the low hum of engines that never slept. It was a city among the stars, filled with hundreds of alien species, all speaking in overlapping voices, all chasing deals, dreams, or secrets. Among them moved Jace Rao, a human courier from the Ceres colonies. His job was simple: deliver a sealed datapod called a seed key to the diplomatic corps before the next orbital rotation. He had 18 minutes left. The problem was that humans had only been allowed on the array for 6 days. The maps were confusing, the signs unreadable, and every corner looked the same. Chase kept glancing at his wristpad, muttering under his breath. Sector C9. No, wait, is that upside down? He stopped at a cross-junction where light poured down through transparent ceilings. Holograms of alien brands flickered over him, turning his reflection red, green, and violet. Sweat ran down his neck. He wasn't nervous, just tired of running deliveries in places where gravity felt half wrong. A group of tall, silver-skinned traders passed, clicking in a language that sounded like glass breaking. Behind them drifted a cluster of floating drones scanning for hidden weapons. Jay stepped aside to avoid them and crashed straight into someone solid and warm. The impact knocked the breath out of him. His package almost slipped from his hand. I'm sorry, he started, but the words died when he looked up. The woman standing before him was not human. Her skin glowed faintly like polished sapphire under soft light. Thin lines of gold traced her cheeks like living circuits. Her eyes were liquid silver, wide and unblinking. And her hair, if it could be called hair, flowed like threads of light, each strand shifting from crimson to gold when she moved. She tilted her head, studying him with curious calm. Then, before he could step back, she raised 2 slender fingers glowing with faint electricity and pressed them gently under his jaw. Jace froze. The air hummed. A pulse of light passed from her skin into his. For one strange heartbeat, he saw flashes that were not his own. Coral towers. A planet of endless blue oceans, the sound of wind under 2 suns. Then the vision faded. A soft glowing sigil appeared on the side of his neck. Delicate, circular and golden. Around them several nearby aliens gasped. The air grew heavy. 2 Maranth guards, creatures similar to the woman but bulkier, stiffened in alarm. Jace blinked in confusion. What just happened? The woman lowered her hand, her expression unreadable. Her voice when it came was smooth and melodic. You have been marked. Marked? Your resonance matched mine. It is rare. I didn't agree to be, whatever that means. Jace took a step back. The guard's eyes followed him like predators. The woman's gaze softened slightly. You should not move away now, she said quietly. If we separate before the phase settles, the guards will treat it as a rejection. Jace looked around. People were staring. His neck still tingled where her fingers had touched. Look, I'm just a courier, he said. I've got a delivery to make and then I'm gone. Her silver eyes gleamed. Then we deliver it together. Before he could argue, she took his arm, not roughly but with quiet strength, and started walking toward the far corridor. Jace stumbled after her, still clutching his seed key. Hey, slow down. Who are you? She glanced at him over her shoulder. Sarah Vale, second envoy of the Maranth. And now your bond match. Jace almost tripped. My what? A faint smile touched her lips. Do not panic, human courier. It is not permanent. Yet. They passed beneath a row of glowing banners where translation drones buzzed overhead. Sarah moved gracefully, parting the crowd as if she owned the place. Jace could feel the heat of her arm through the fabric of his jacket, and a strange rhythmic pulse, like a heartbeat out of sync with his own. As they entered the next sector, the lights dimmed and a deep alarm thudded through the station floor. Red glyphs flashed across the walls. Lockdown? Jace muttered. Sarah's expression turned sharp. They are closing the gates. Why? Because someone does not want that package delivered, she said, glancing at the seed key in his hand. And because the mark I gave you is forbidden. Jace swallowed hard. You've got to be kidding me. Her eyes met his. No. You are in this now, Jace Rao. If we fail to reach the vault before the cycle ends, they will not arrest only me. Who else then? You, she said simply. My chosen. The floor vibrated again. Security drones began descending from the ceiling like silent metal spiders. Sarah tightened her grip on his wrist. Run, and together, they did, racing through the pulsing light of the alien station. A human courier and the alien woman who had accidentally, or perhaps deliberately, changed both their destinies. The corridors of Kestrel Array twisted like veins of glass and steel, pulsing with pale light. Red warning glyphs flickered across the walls as the lockdown deepened. Sarah's grip never loosened around Jace's wrist. Her movements were quick and graceful, almost inhumanly so, yet her breathing stayed calm, measured. "Where are we going?" Jace panted as they dashed past a row of sealed market stalls. "To the diplomatic corps," she replied, eyes glowing faintly silver. "Your package, whatever it is tied to this. If we reach the vault, I can prove it." He didn't have time to argue. Overhead, mechanical wings clattered. Security drones descending, red lights sweeping the halls. Sarah pulled him through a maintenance hatch just before a beam of scanning light swept the corridor. Inside, the maintenance tunnels were narrow and half-lit, humming with the quiet energy of the station's systems. Jay stumbled behind her, ducking under pipes that smelled of ozone. "You could have warned me about the whole forbidden mark thing," he said, rubbing the glowing pattern on his neck. Her lips curved slightly. "Would you have let me touch you if I had?" He frowned. "No, probably not." "Then I made the correct choice," she said calmly, moving forward. They crawled out into a vertical shaft. Gravity shifted slightly, the artificial field compensating for their movement. From this height, Jace could see through a narrow slit, endless lights of the array's inner city like constellations trapped inside glass. For a moment, it almost looked beautiful, before a loud mechanical screech broke the thought. A drone appeared below them, its blades spinning with quiet menace. "Climb," Sarah ordered. He climbed. Fast. His muscles burned, but adrenaline pushed him on. The drone rose after them, firing a net of crackling energy. Sarah twisted in midair, releasing a burst of blue current from her palms. The energy field shimmered, short-circuiting the drone's optics. It spun out and exploded against the tunnel wall. Jace blinked at the fading sparks. "You can do that?" She didn't answer, just looked up, scanning the next junction. "We're close." They emerged into an enormous chamber shaped like a glowing sphere, the vault atrium. Holographic banners floated above, showing the sigils of dozens of species. In the center stood a sealed column of light, the diplomatic vault surrounded by guards. But the guards weren't reacting to them. They were arguing with a new arrival. A tall Maranth male stood near the vault, his body encased in ceremonial armor that shimmered like liquid metal. His silver hair marked him as a high envoy. His gaze snapped toward Sarah the moment she appeared. "Sarah Vale, what have you done?" His voice echoed like thunder. Sarah stopped cold. "Father," she said softly. Jace's brain stalled. "Father?" Ambassador Vale's eyes landed on the golden mark glowing on Jace's neck. His expression hardened. "You bonded with a human? In public?" "It was not planned," she said quickly. His resonance matched mine. The array reacted. "There are no coincidences in resonance," he snapped. "You've triggered a diplomatic breach." Jace stepped forward, trying to keep his voice steady. "Look, Ambassador, sir, whatever you call yourself, I didn't ask for this. I'm just delivering a package." Vale's gaze turned cold. "Then deliver it and leave, before the council does something neither of us can undo." He gestured sharply. The guards stepped aside, opening the barrier to the vault. Jace hesitated. "What is this thing, anyway?" Sarah touched the small box in his hands. "A seed key," she murmured. "Used to plant new laws in the council database. It reshapes treaties when authorized." "Wait, so this isn't just a delivery?" "No," she said quietly. "It's a key to power." Before Jace could process that, the vault began to vibrate. Lines of code streamed across its transparent walls. A low hum filled the air, growing into a deep, resonant tone that made the hair on his arms stand. Then silence. A single phrase appeared on the vault's holographic display. Directive Theta 92, Enforcement of Genetic Isolation Protocols. The ambassador went still. Sarah's expression darkened. "What does that mean?" Jace asked, her voice dropped to a whisper. "It means they fear what we can become." Then the vault lights flashed red. A mechanical voice echoed. "Unauthorized resonance detected. Lockdown expanding. Biological merge unstable." All around them, the floor panels began to retract. The vault was sealing itself and it wasn't letting them out. Sarah grabbed Jace's arm. They traced the mark. They know about us now. Jace looked toward the rising wall of light trapping them. You're saying we're inside a security chamber? No, she said. We're inside evidence, and then the light swallowed them both. Light swallowed everything. For a few seconds, Jace saw only shifting colors, blue, gold, white, and then slowly his vision cleared. He found himself standing on a transparent platform suspended in a sphere of swirling energy. Beneath his feet, 1,000 holographic threads connected to something vast and alive. The vault wasn't just a machine. It was thinking. Sarah stood beside him, her silver eyes reflecting 1,000 tiny data streams. The vault accepted us, she murmured, awe and fear mixing in her tone. But it shouldn't have. Accepted us? Jace repeated. I didn't even sign a form. It recognized the mark I gave you. It's reading us as one entity. A shiver crawled down Jace's spine. The glow on his neck pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. So we're linked? Sarah nodded slowly. For now. If we stay too long inside the resonance field, it could become permanent. That wasn't reassuring. Before Jace could reply, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. Digital, mechanical, and ancient. Identify purpose of merger. Sarah lifted her chin. To access Directive Theta 92 and reveal its origin. The vault responded instantly. The air turned thick, filled with ghostly holograms, faces of alien council members, coded seals, hidden signatures. Jace recognized none of them. But one line stood out in bright crimson letters. Human genetic adaptability. Containment required. The projection shifted to show a simulation. Human DNA intertwining with alien strands, producing impossible results. Rapid healing, neural synchronization, hybrid strength. The display labeled it as catastrophic instability risk. Jace's stomach tightened. They're afraid of us? Sarah's expression hardened. Not afraid. They're limiting you. Theta 92 bans any species from merging genetically with humans. It's disguised as protection. In truth, it's control. Her voice echoed around the vast chamber, defiant and clear. Then the vault flickered. The calm blue glow turned to angry red. Unauthorized disclosure attempt. Purge sequence initiated. The transparent floor beneath them began to dissolve into cascading pixels. Not good, Jace muttered. Follow me. Sarah leapt toward a glowing archway as part of the platform crumbled behind her. Jace didn't think, he just ran. His boots slipped on the slick glass surface, the world spinning in a storm of collapsing data. They dove through the arch a second before the vault imploded in a silent burst of light. When Jace opened his eyes again, they were lying on a cold metallic floor. The quiet hum of real air returned. He coughed, sitting up. Where are we now? Sarah scanned the surroundings. Rows of ancient terminals, all flickering with golden light. The inner memory core. The vault ejected us into its archive. Like trash? Like evidence, she corrected. Her fingers traced a nearby console, awakening it. A faint hologram appeared, a Maranth elder speaking in whispers. Directive Theta 92 passes without public record. Human species will be contained until adaptation metrics stabilize. Then the image shifted to her father, Ambassador Vale. I disagree. The humans evolve too quickly, yes, but they are also unpredictable. And unpredictability breeds change. The council fears change. Sarah's eyes widened. He tried to stop it. Before she could finish, a new hologram appeared. An alien face with pale ridges and black eyes. Its voice oozed arrogance. Containment must continue. Maranth dissent will be silenced. If the ambassador resists, his daughter may serve as example. Jace's jaw clenched. That's a threat. Sarah shut down the terminal, her expression dark and steady. And now they'll act on it. The council knows we saw this. From above, the ceiling trembled. Alarms blared again, closer this time. They're cutting power to this section, Jace said, grabbing her hand. We have to move. Sarah didn't argue. They sprinted down a narrow corridor lined with glass conduits. Sparks flew as defense drones descended from the vents, eyes glowing crimson. Jace ducked behind a column. Any bright ideas, Bond Match? She smiled faintly despite the chaos. Yes, hold your breath. Before he could ask why, she slammed her palms to the floor. A pulse of silver light rippled through the corridor. The air cracked like lightning. The drones froze, their metal shells trembling before collapsing into heaps of melted alloy. The smell of ozone filled the air. Jace blinked. "Remind me not to argue with you." Sarah turned, her expression unreadable. "We can't stay here. My father's diplomatic corps might still be safe if he's not already under arrest." Jace adjusted the package still clutched to his chest. "Then we go find him," Sarah nodded. "And when we do, he'll have to choose between his loyalty to the council or to his daughter." As the alarms dimmed and distant footsteps echoed closer, the two of them disappeared into the glowing corridors of the array, one carrying a forbidden mark, the other carrying the secret that could unravel an entire galactic order. The deeper levels of the Kestrel array were nothing like the shining halls above. Here the lights dimmed to amber and the air smelled faintly of coolant and metal. The hum of machinery was constant, steady, almost alive. Jace and Sarah moved quickly through the maintenance corridors, their footsteps muffled by the dull vibration of the engines. The faint golden mark on Jace's neck still pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat, a silent reminder of the strange connection they shared. They stopped at a sealed bulkhead bearing, the emblem of the Miranth Diplomatic Corps. 3 curved lines intertwined, like strands of DNA. Sarah placed her hand on the scanner. The door hesitated, flashing a red glyph before opening reluctantly. "They've already restricted my access," she murmured. "We don't have much time." The chamber beyond was dimly lit, filled with holographic consoles and floating screens. In the center stood Ambassador Vale, his tall frame tense, his silver hair reflecting the light like spun glass. 2 armored Miranth guards stood beside him, watching silently. He turned the moment Sarah stepped in. "I told you to stay away from the vault," he said, voice calm but heavy. "You knew about Theta 92, she replied, walking toward him. "You helped write it." The ambassador's expression didn't change. "I advised restraint, not suppression." Jace stepped forward, the datapod still in his grip. "Then explain this." He placed the pod on the nearest console. The hologram flickered, revealing the images they'd seen in the vault. The simulations of human-alien hybrids, the secret council signatures, the threats. The ambassador's shoulders stiffened. "You accessed restricted archives. Your daughter saved my life," Jace said. "And in the process, we learned your council's been lying to everyone." The ambassador's eyes flicked to the mark glowing faintly on Jace's neck. "You are marked, truly." "It wasn't intentional," Sarah said quickly. "But the vault reacted to us, linked us. The council called it a biological merge." Vale's gaze softened, but only slightly. "That merge is exactly what they fear. 2 compatible species combining will change everything," Jace finished. "Yeah, we noticed." He took a step closer. "You said you wanted restraint, not suppression. So why follow their orders?" The ambassador looked away, the flicker of guilt passing over his face. "Because I've seen what happens when a young species rises too quickly. The wars, the chaos. The Miranth were once the same. We nearly destroyed ourselves before we learned balance. And now you deny others the chance to find theirs?" Sarah challenged. Vale's expression hardened again. "You think the council acts from fear alone? No, they act from memory. Humanity's potential is extraordinary, but so is its hunger. Power without maturity ends in extinction." Jace's jaw clenched. "You talk like you know us. You don't. You've seen reports, numbers, but you haven't seen how far we've come." The ambassador studied him for a long moment. "Perhaps I am beginning to." A soft alarm cut through the tension. The guards turned sharply toward the entry corridor. Vale tapped his wristpad, eyes narrowing as a transmission came through. "They've found you," he said grimly. "Station security is en route." "They're not coming to arrest, they're coming to erase." Sarah's eyes widened. "Erase?" "Any evidence of your merge, including both of you." Jace let out a sharp breath. "Fantastic. So what's the plan?" Vale glanced at the pod still glowing on the console. "The only way to stop them is to expose Theta 92 publicly. There's a council broadcast relay in the upper diplomatic tier. If you transmit this through that channel, every species in this station will see it." Sarah frowned. "They'll execute us for treason." "Perhaps," her father said quietly. "Or perhaps they'll finally listen." He reached into his robes and withdrew a small metallic sphere, an encryption core. "This will bypass the broadcast filters. But the relay is guarded by triune enforcers." Jace took the sphere without hesitation. "Then we'll fight our way through." Vale placed a hand on his daughter's shoulder, his voice softening. "You've always defied me, Sarah. For once, I'm glad of it." Her eyes shimmered with faint light. Come with us. I cannot, he said. If I move, the council will know I betrayed them. Someone must hold their attention while you run. Jace opened his mouth to argue, but Sarah stopped him with a look. She understood. A moment later, Vale turned to his guards. When the enforcers arrive, you will defend this room. Delay them as long as possible. The guards nodded silently. Sarah moved toward the exit. We won't waste your sacrifice, Father. As the door slid open, Vale called out softly, Sarah, the bond between you two, it's more than biology. Protect it. It may become the key to everything. Then the doors sealed behind them. The hallway outside shook as distant explosions echoed through the station. Red light pulsed along the walls. Jace adjusted the encryption sphere in his hand. Upper diplomatic tier, he asked. Sarah nodded. 2 levels up past the council hall. He smirked, adrenaline cutting through his fear. Perfect. Just a human courier and an alien diplomat breaking into the galactic broadcast hub. Sarah's eyes glowed faintly. If we succeed, we change the future. And if we fail, then, she said, taking his hand, at least the galaxy will know we tried. They ran, 2 figures against a universe built on fear, toward the heart of the station where truth waited to burn its way across the stars. The upper diplomatic tier of Kestrel Array was chaos disguised as elegance. Marble floors reflected 1,000 running feet, and banners of every known species shimmered beneath flickering light. The council hall loomed at the center, a massive dome of transparent alloy that pulsed faintly with golden energy. The sound of alarms rolled through the chamber like thunder. Jace and Sarah emerged from a side corridor, their breath misting in the chilled air. The mark on Jace's neck was burning now, the glow rising and fading with his pulse. The relay's inside the hall, Sarah said, scanning the corridor with sharp silver eyes. But the Triune will be waiting. Good, Jace muttered. Saves us the trouble of finding them. The moment they stepped into the open, blinding blue light flared. Energy bolts struck the floor around them. Triune enforcers and tall, armored beings with insect-like helmets moved from the shadows, their weapons humming with plasma. Human and Moranth hybrid detected. One of them barked through a metallic filter. Stand down or be neutralized. Sarah didn't hesitate. She raised her hands, releasing a pulse of bright silver energy that cracked the air like lightning. The shockwave threw the first 2 enforcers backward. Jace rolled behind a column as energy fire streaked past him. He glanced at the encryption sphere in his hand. Their only hope to reach the galaxy. We can't stay here, he shouted. Sarah ducked another blast, her eyes blazing. Then move. Jace sprinted along the curved wall, every muscle screaming. He dove behind a console and spotted a small access panel marked Council Broadcast Node. It was locked by biometric code. Sarah, I need a spark. She turned, still deflecting plasma shots with her shimmering energy field. Cover me! Already trying, Jace yelled, pulling a fallen enforcer's weapon and firing blindly toward the attackers. The blasts hissed through the smoky air. Sarah slid beside him, placed both palms on the panel, and closed her eyes. The mark on Jace's neck pulsed, and he felt her power surge through him. Not painful, but sharp and cold like water under ice. The lock clicked. The panel opened. Inside, a web of light coiled around the encryption core, the relay's nervous system. Jace shoved the metallic sphere into place. Now what? Now, Sarah said, you link us. He frowned. How? Touch the interface, she said simply. The vault recognized our bond. The relay will too. Jace hesitated, then pressed his hand against the glowing surface. Instantly, his vision blurred. He saw Sarah's memories flicker through his mind. Endless oceans, Moranth temples, the faint hum of alien music. Beneath it, he felt her heartbeat steady and sure. Then the system accepted them both. The holographic feed ignited, streaming across the entire dome. Dozens of hovering projectors activated automatically, broadcasting their faces across every open channel in the array. Counselors froze mid-command. Civilians, diplomats, traders, all turned toward the screens as the broadcast began. People of the array. Sarah's voice rang out, amplified across the dome. You've been deceived. Directive Theta 92, the law that forbids unity between humans and adaptive species, was never ratified. It was forged to keep your species divided. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Triune enforcers hesitated, unsure whether to attack or listen. Jace stepped into view beside her, voice steady despite the adrenaline rushing through him. We saw the files. The Council calls humanity a containment risk. But what they fear isn't danger, and it's progress. They fear what happens when we stop fighting each other and start evolving together. The broadcast split into fragments, showing the holographic evidence they'd stolen, council signatures, secret meetings, genetic simulations. Every lie laid bare. Cut the feed, a Triune commander shouted. Now! But the encryption sphere burned brighter, locking the network. Sarah's voice rose again, fierce and clear. They want to erase us because we found harmony and difference. But the galaxy deserves the truth. The commander lunged forward, weapon raised. Jace barely saw the movement. Only the flicker of blue light as Sarah spun, catching the blast with her palm and sending it ricocheting back. The explosion threw the Enforcer into a wall of banners. More guards poured in. The hall erupted into chaos. Jace grabbed the encryption core, which now glowed white-hot. The transmission's still running. Then it's working, Sarah said, electricity dancing across her arms. She turned to him suddenly, her expression soft despite the battle. When this is over, nothing will ever be the same. Jace grinned, breathless. Good. I hate boring endings. Together they pushed forward through the storm, her energy field shielding them, his aim sharp and reckless. Around them, species who had once ignored each other began to shout, not in anger but in awakening. The truth had been set loose. The Triune's command ship scrambled overhead, jamming signals, but it was too late. The broadcast had already reached every hub across the array. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy heard a voice it couldn't silence. Jace looked toward the dome's ceiling, where stars burned beyond the transparent alloy. Sarah, what if they come for us next? She smiled faintly. Then they'll find two species ready to fight as one. And with that, they disappeared into the smoke, leaving behind a hall full of stunned counselors and a message echoing through the stars. A single undeniable truth. The age of isolation was ending. Silence had weight. For the first time in living memory, the Kestrel array, the shining crown of interstellar diplomacy, fell completely silent. No traders, no traffic, no council chatter. Every display, every hollow banner, every comlink still echoed with the fragments of Sarah and Jace's broadcast. The truth was out. In 1,000 different languages, one question spread like wildfire. What else have they been hiding? But for Jace and Sarah, the silence was short-lived. They crouched inside a service conduit several decks below the council hall. Emergency lights painted everything in deep red. The hum of approaching patrols echoed through the narrow walls. Jace ran a hand through his sweat-matted hair. So what's the galactic punishment for accidentally overthrowing an empire? Sarah glanced at him, her silver eyes dim but steady. In most cultures? Disintegration, he exhaled. Great. Love that. Despite the situation, she smiled faintly. But in some... liberation. A distant explosion shook the walls. The array trembled like a living creature under strain. Sarah pressed her ear to the metal paneling. They're fighting above us, Jace frowned. Who's they? The Council's enforcement fleets, she said. And the Maranth Protectorate. My father's forces, Jace blinked. Wait, he's helping us? She nodded once. He made his choice. Through a broken viewport ahead, they could see distant flashes outside the station, streaks of light weaving like falling stars. The Triune's ships had arrived early, massive black cruisers shaped like arrowheads. Smaller vessels, Maranth fighters, danced around them, darting between the beams of energy fire. It was open war. Sarah touched the side of her head, activating a faint comm implant. Static filled the air, then a familiar voice broke through. Sarah, Jace. Can you hear me? Ambassador Vale, Sarah whispered. Father, security forces have split. Half are loyal to the Triune, half to me. The array is collapsing under the crossfire. You must reach Dock 47. Escape before the station tears itself apart. We can't, Sarah said. If we leave now, the Council will destroy the data. No, child. The data lives in the network now. The galaxy knows. You've already done more than any diplomat ever dared. His voice cracked slightly under the noise of distant detonations. Go, before the Triune trace your resonance signature. Then the channel went dead. For a moment, Sarah just stared at the cracked comm display. Jace rested a hand on her shoulder. He's buying us time, her voice trembled. He'll die buying it. Then we make it worth something, Jace said quietly. They moved through the tunnels again toward the lower docks. The station shook with another impact. A ceiling panel fell, crashing behind them. Through the chaos, Jace noticed something strange. The golden mark on his neck was fading, replaced by faint white light. Sarah, the mark's changing. She turned to look, her expression unreadable. It's stabilizing. Meaning? Our bond is becoming permanent, he blinked. Permanent as in forever? She gave a small, almost sad smile. There are worse fates. Before he could respond, a thunderous metallic voice echoed through the tunnels. Human courier Jace Rao and Miranth envoy Sarah Vale. You are charged with destabilizing galactic order. Surrender. A massive figure appeared at the end of the corridor, 8 feet tall, covered in black armor that rippled with purple light. A Triuna warden. Its presence bent the air, its steps making the metal floor tremble. Jace raised his weapon. I'm guessing talking's off the table? The warden lifted its gauntlet. Compliance or erasure? Sarah stepped in front of Jace, her voice calm and cold. You should have stayed in your council chambers. She pressed her palm to the ground. Silver lightning burst outward like roots of a storm. The warden staggered but raised an energy shield, deflecting most of it. Jace dashed forward, sliding beneath the arc of the warden's blade, and fired directly into the joint of its armor. Sparks erupted. The giant reeled back, roaring like tearing metal. Sarah's energy built again, brighter this time, her entire body glowing with bioelectric light. Jace felt it through the bond, his heartbeat syncing with hers. For a moment he could see what she saw. The flow of charge, the weaknesses in the armor, the rhythm of the warden's attacks. Left joint, she shouted. He moved before thinking, fired again. The shot hit perfectly. The warden's shield failed with a flash. Sarah thrust both hands forward, releasing a wave of energy that shattered the corridor's ceiling. The warden exploded in a storm of light and molten fragments. Silence followed, broken only by their ragged breathing. Jace looked at the wreckage. Remind me never to make you angry. Sarah smiled faintly, exhaustion visible in her movements. I'm not angry, she said softly. I'm just done running. He offered his hand. Then let's finish this together. She took it. Their fingers locked, and the faint pulse of their shared light glowed stronger than before. Above them, the array's automated voice blared through the speakers. Structural failure imminent. Evacuate immediately. Jace glanced toward the viewport where ships burned against the stars. If we make it off this thing alive, what then? Sarah looked out with him. Then the real war begins. Not between species, but between truth and fear. The station trembled again, louder this time, as the upper decks began to collapse in fiery streaks of debris. Somewhere deep within, the council still fought for control of their lives. But for Jace Rao and Sarah Vale, the human courier, and the alien envoy, the fight was no longer about survival. It was about what came next. The Kestrel array was dying. Flames bled through the once pristine corridors as sections of the ring broke apart, spinning into the darkness of orbit. Rescue pods launched like shooting stars, each carrying diplomats, soldiers, or civilians, all fleeing the collapse of an empire built on lies. But in Dock 47, amid the chaos, 2 figures ran against the tide. Jace and Sarah reached the hangar's end, where a small courier ship floated amid drifting smoke. Its hull was scorched, but its engines hummed with life. She'll fly, Jace muttered, brushing soot from his jacket. Probably. Sarah didn't smile. Her eyes glowed faintly, scanning the distant void beyond the hangar's shield. The Triune fleet surrounding the array, they won't let us leave. Then we make them chase us, he said. Humans are good at running from bad decisions. He powered the ship's engines. The hangar doors shuddered open, revealing the black expanse of space filled with streaks of red and blue light. Warships exchanging fire. They launched. The ship tore through debris, weaving between burning fragments of metal and shattered council banners. Behind them, the array cracked apart completely, its core erupting in a brilliant white explosion that lit up the entire sector. Sarah turned in her seat, her expression torn between grief and awe. My father. Jace's hand tightened on the controls. He chose his side. So do we. For a few seconds, neither spoke. The destruction faded into the distance. The comm light blinked, a faint signal. Sarah tapped it open. To all surviving vessels. This is High Minister Nix of the Miranth Protectorate. The Triune are retreating. Repeat, the Triune are retreating. Jace blinked. What? How? The broadcast you made reached every system linked to the array. Entire factions turned on the Triune once the truth spread. Their fleets are splintering. Sarah's voice softened. The galaxy listened, but Nyx's tone darkened. Listen carefully, Envoy Vale. The Council is fractured. Some species demand reform. Others prepare for war. You and the human courier have become symbols. People are calling it the Dawn Accord. They want you both to represent it. Jace stared at the console. You mean like ambassadors? More than that, Nyx replied. Founders. The first of a new coalition born from truth. The signal faded. Silence filled the cabin. Sarah looked at him. The Dawn Accord, she repeated softly. It sounds like hope. He gave a crooked smile. Hope usually gets people killed. Maybe, she said, turning toward the viewport where the shattered remains of the array glowed faintly. But it also rebuilds worlds. The ship's sensors pinged another vessel approaching. A dark, triangular silhouette gliding from the debris. For a heartbeat, Jace thought it was Triune reinforcements. But then he recognized the crest on its hull, a silver spiral, the symbol of the Protectorate. The comm crackled again. Courier vessel Ark Sparrow, this is Minister Nyx's flagship. Dock and follow escort. The galaxy is waiting for its new representatives. Jace leaned back in his chair, exhaling. You know, I was supposed to deliver one package and go home. Sarah smiled faintly. You did deliver it. Just not where you expected. They docked. Hours later, beneath the steady hum of a new orbital station, Jace and Sarah stood before a vast council chamber rebuilt from the ashes. Not the old marble and glass monument of the past, but something new, simpler, brighter, open to all species. 100 voices whispered as they entered, human and alien alike. Cameras hovered overhead. Nyx stepped forward, robes shimmering with faint silver light. By decree of the Provisional Council, the Dawn Accord recognizes Jace Rao of Earth and Sarah Vale of Maranth as its founding liaisons. Jace shifted uncomfortably. So, what exactly do we do? Nyx smiled. You tell the truth. And you teach us how to live with it. Applause echoed. Soft at first, then rising into a wave that filled the chamber. Sarah turned to him, eyes glowing with quiet pride. Seems you've started another delivery, he chuckled. This one doesn't come with a return policy. They stepped onto the central platform together. Their hands touched not in ceremony but in quiet unity. The mark on Jace's neck flared once more, then settled into a steady golden glow. Across the room, a faint echo shimmered through the crowd as others, human and alien, revealed the same faint light where they too had formed bonds of resonance. The Dawn Accord was spreading. Sarah leaned close, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you think the galaxy's ready for what comes next? Jace smiled, watching the stars glimmer through the panoramic window. No, he said softly, but we are. Outside, the debris of the old order drifted like dust across the light of a newborn sunrise. And somewhere beyond, new stations began to rise, built not by one species but by many. The age of control was over. The age of connection had begun.